So, welcome back to another round of Publisher Takeover here at Continual. And I have with us now Nicole Kurtz from Mocha Memoirs Press. So, Nicole, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Glad you could come hang out with us some this evening and share both all the stuff you guys did in 2020 and let us see some of what's coming in 2021. But so, what is coming up?
Lots of things, lots of horror. We have a nice anthology coming out for Women in Horror Month. That's been our tradition the last 8 years of releasing a anthology of horror written by women every couple of years to celebrate Women in Horror Month. So we have a new one coming out this year. I'm very excited about it, called Slice Girls. Um, so it's very. We also have Elle Wood joining Mocha Memoirs, and she wrote a fantastic story in Slay called The Dance, and we're very excited to have Telecommuting, a novella coming out in February with from her. So we've got some really exciting things coming up, some new cyberpunk stories. I'm a big fan of futuristic noir, so I'm very excited to have a new author writing that type of story, and it's not mine. And so we have lots of things coming up this year, new Kingdom of Avis novellas, as well as um, another installment in Todd Sullivan's Wind Chime Chronicles, which is Korean fantasy. So very
Oh,
excited by what we have to offer this in 2021. We had
well,
a good year this year with Slay and with Alice by Allegra Hurt, and of course, my Kingdom of Avis Kill Three Birds, as well as oh dear, my mind just went blank. Oh, Todd Sullivan's other first two installments of his Wind Chime Chronicles. So we've had a really good year in light of all the challenges that have occurred, but we're very excited about what 2021 has in store for us.
well, Slay was a fun read. So, you
Do
guys
you
are
have
always.
favorites in it or no?
I am not saying a word because I know too many of the people that wrote for it.
Right? It's like I've been asked that question. Like you're asking me to pick like my favorite children. Can't do that.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm
yeah,
not going to get myself in any more trouble than I usually do.
understood.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to get myself into that level of trouble. Well, in that case, I'm gonna get out of the way and let you share.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, and I am Nicole Kurtz. I am the owner and publisher for Mocha Memoirs Press. We've been around for 11 years. And our primary mission, or what drives us to produce bold, fearless fiction, is our dedication to amplifying underrepresented or marginalized voices in speculative fiction. And so that's kind of the foundation for why Mocha Memoirs was started, to provide publishing outlets for stories that often don't get past the traditional gatekeepers. These are stories that are, whether they are either by people of color, they are either by LGBTQ um, writers, or both. Or in the case of horror, women. Women are that's the whole purpose of Women in Horror Month, is to kind of put the spotlight on this. It's still out there, myth that women don't write horror, or women don't write good horror. When you think of that, you think like, wait, what do you mean? There's Shirley Jackson, there's Tanarina Due, there's all these women who write, there's Flannery O'Connor, like there's like all these great um, women who wrote and write horror, but there seems to be this stigma that we don't do that. And so that's the whole purpose of Women in Horror Month. It's kind of like a month dedicated to, again, amplifying or putting the spotlight on women. And so we do tend to publish a lot of women horror writers, and in an effort to, again, because they're underrepresented in that genre. And so that's our purpose, that's our mission. So I hope you support us as we continue to provide opportunities for writers that fall within those categories or buckets. Okay, so we're really excited. Like I said, 2020 was a really challenging year for us, but we made it thanks to donations from readers and friends and family and people who just wanted to help support our mission. So I'm really thankful for that, and we appreciate what you've done for us. Um, we have a lot to look forward to in 2021, and I'm really kind of excited. So I'm kind of like squirming in my chair to share with you the next crop of novels and novellas that are coming up the first 6 months of the year. I do encourage you to sign up for our newsletter because publishing dates tend to change based on edits, based on cover art, based on Nicole being sick. So we tend to, they might slide around a little bit. So the dates here are not set in stone. But if you want to keep up with when stuff is coming out, definitely sign up for our newsletter. You can do that at mochamemoirs.com. All right. So our tagline here at Mocha Memoirs is bold, fearless fiction. You're like, what does that even mean, Nicole? Well, in order to produce some of the works we do that traditional publishers or some publishers, gatekeepers have passed on, you have to be bold. You have to be willing to take risks. And many times small press publishers are the ones that are actually taking those risks in publishing and actually kickstarting trends that you see later on in bigger publishing companies. We're the ones who started some of these things. And so being bold, being fearless, being unafraid to produce stories that don't fall lock in step with the traditional stereotype of what science fiction, fantasy, and horror should be. And so that's what we work toward and that's what we produce. Okay, so coming up right off the bat, beginning of the year, is a second installment in my Kingdom of Avis series. It is definitely something that may not have made it past a traditional publisher, but it is fantasy, mystery, and Afrofuturism. And so this particular one is the second installment in the Kingdom of Avis series. My hawk, Prentice Tassiva, is assigned to recover an ancient religious artifact called the Five Feather Crown. And so this is my heist novella set in a fantasy setting. We're very excited about it. The cover art was done by Maya Pressler again, and you see just amazing work. Kill Three Birds is the first story in this series, and it was very popular. It was actually my best-selling title in 2020. All right. We also have coming up and coming down the pike to kick off Women in Horror Month is Slice Girls. And it's our Women in Horror Month charity anthology. For the last 8 years, we have traditionally put out an anthology that is women focused or written by women in celebration of Women in Horror Month. We have done that every 2 years. We have titles such as Black Magic Women, The Grotesserie, edited by Eden Royce. We had Mocha's Dark Brew, which was as edited by AC by Alexandra Christian. So we had a lot of, every couple of years we do one. And so this year we're very excited to have Slice Girls edited by Carmilla Boyce. Um, all the proceeds of this anthology will be donated to a charity focused on women empowerment, which is a different thing for us. We've never had a charity anthology before. And so this is both due for us and something we're quite proud of. So when it comes out, definitely get yourself a copy. I love this cover, by the way. This cover is amazing. And help support us there to like not only amplify women in horror, but also help us donate money to charities that support empowerment for women. All right. Next on the line, possibly the end of February, maybe sliding a little bit more into March, we have Telecommuting by L. Marie Wood. She is an award-winning screenwriter, and her story, The Dance, has been nominated or has been submitted for consideration for a whole bunch of awards, horror awards this year. She is fantastic. And so the story here is that telecommuting appears safe and comfortable and a method to avoid the rat race of the working office life. But for one telecommuter, the home office can be just as deadly. And so it's a novella. It's 30,000 words, but it's the horror that can come with telecommuting. I don't know if you guys want to get that one if you're still working from home in 2021, but this is definitely, it gave me shivers and I loved it immediately. And I think you will too. Blood Stew, probably sliding more in around late April. It's a fantasy, a Korean fantasy, and it is the third and last installment in the Windchime Chronicles by Todd Sullivan. So if you read Hollow Men or if you read There Will Be One, this is the third book in that series. The other two were novellas. This is a full-fledged novel to wrap up the last to the Windchime Chronicles, and it continues the exploration of the elf Windchime and her assistance in her quest for various heroes from their kingdom as they go about trying to seek glory. And so it's Korean fantasy, so it has lots of fight scenes and lots of fantastic world building. So if you haven't read Hollow Men and There Will Be One, I definitely recommend you pick those two up before you get Blood Stew in March. We also have one of my favorite genres and one I write in as an author is futuristic noir or cyberpunk. So think like Blade Runner, or do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Minority Reports. Just think like Philip Dick stories, really. So Reality Junction is by Alexander Hawksville, and he's actually from the UK. This story is Hector is thrown into a world where reality meets fantasy, where anything can happen and love might just be a possibility. So if you're a fan of like Altered Carbon or the Richard K. Morgan books with Kovacs in them, you would definitely like Reality Junction. It's very much futuristic noir cyberpunk. Next, we have another horror title. This one is more like a thriller horror, I think, like kind of X-File-ish, Kolchak type of story where Harry Resnick is in Des Moines. This one's set in Iowa, which we didn't have any stories set in Iowa, which I love. Is a homicide investigator, and he works with an FBI agent to solve the mystery of killer shadow creatures. And so they find an ancient book and secrets. And so even though I have horror here, it's more of a supernatural thriller. It's called Night Shadows, and that'll come out right before summer. So give you some cool chills right before the summer heat. And in June, probably the 1st of July, we'll have the last of the Kingdom of Avis books. So my trilogy will come to an end. The first three books in that series will end in July, with the third installment coming out in probably July 1st. And so the apprentice for this book will be Apprentice works with the Order, that has revealed her work with them has revealed like a rage that she hasn't expected. And as she peels through like the underbelly of this governing body, what she realizes that it's not, of course, any government agency isn't what you think it is when you get down to the underbelly and the nitty gritty. So when dozens of hawks disappear one evening, Prentice, along with her fellow investigative hawks, must work together to have their daughters returned. Because in the Kingdom of Avis, the ability that the hawks have to see the unseen is passed down through the mother. And so the daughters of hawks they're not allowed to go to school. They're all trained at home and then they're sent to university when they get old enough. But the mothers do all the homeschooling and training before, because they're going to go directly to work for the order right after they get out of college. And so it's not they have no other purpose. And then once they are retired from the order, then they are allowed to have a family and reproduce. By then they're blind because their abilities over time renders them blind. So that's the third book in the Kingdom of Avis series that'll be out the July 1st, end of June, July 1st. And so thank you for your participation in watching today. Those are all the exciting titles we have for 2021, the first half of 2021. Again, stay tuned by signing up for our newsletter at our website to stay up to date on what we have coming later in the year from July on, and to keep abreast of any changing dates and publication of titles. Thank you.
Well, Nicole, thanks for coming in to hang out with us. It's always good to see you, and hopefully we get to see you too in 2021 with some of the fun stuff coming up, and hopefully actually get to hang out in person again.
Oh, that would be great. I miss you.
Miss hanging out with you too.
I miss people. I miss cons like a lot. I miss conventions. I didn't think I would, and I feel bad that I took conventions for granted. I won't do that again.
Well, even if once we start being able to play in person again, Continual will continue to be here because, well, we can have a lot of fun here as well and reach a bunch of people that aren't going to be making all the local conventions we're at.
Right. Love it.
Well, I appreciate you coming to hang out and can't wait to see the new stuff from Mocha Memoirs. And of course, we're going to have you here all the time with each of the new releases. In fact, I think we've got one coming up for you in next week, if I remember right.
Yes. Thank you.
So we'll see you again soon.
All right. Bye.